This video will take you through the beginning stages of the magazine cover project. What we're going to look at in this one is how to put the image onto the project now that you've created the new document, how to use some adjustments to kind of improve the picture that you have. We'll look at real quickly kind of cloning and healing away any unwanted parts. We will also look at how to get rid of the background with a mask, and finally how to adjust the lighting of the two pictures. Now this is kind of the key, is getting the lighting right on the two pictures. So where we're started here, all I'm looking at right now is a picture that I had brought into Photoshop. So if I was doing this, I could just take it from the desktop. If you recall, I could just drag it in, and then what I can do is just turn off everything else. You know what, let me escape that. I'm canceling that one. I'm just going to put that in again. Let's put that in down here. Is hit enter to place that picture. And then I have this little symbol here that's telling me that this picture isn't really on my document, as we've discussed in the past. It's just kind of linked to my document. So what I want to do is right click and go to rasterize layer. That's going to get rid of that little symbol, and now that picture is permanently here. So there we go. So then I have that. So I added that picture in. I then scaled that image up. If I needed to do that, I could just simply Command T and just drag from the corners like we've always done. And again, the key is I don't want to accidentally make myself into a pancake or like an egghead. I want to make sure that I'm holding shift as I scale just to get things right. We may adjust this again later, but for now you mostly want whatever the subject of the photo is, you want that to fill kind of your paper. I don't want to have a bunch of background here, because we're going to get rid of the background and put ourselves on different backgrounds later. So I'm just going to kind of scale that to whatever I think is appropriate. Alright, so now that the picture's on here, the next thing I want to do, if you notice in this picture, our faces are very dark. So I was able to kind of get by this. What I did to do that is I created what's called an adjustment layer. We haven't done this yet, but this is a great project to kind of learn this on. So I'm going to turn on this layer here, and I get rid of the original. So here's this one that I'd kind of gotten rid of the background and all that, but what I want to show you is this adjustment layer that I did. So if you look at the faces, I turn that on, you can kind of see they really get brighter. Here's how I did this. Let's do this now to this original image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the bottom here, this one that kind of looks like a cookie, a circle here. Create new adjustment layer. If you look at these, they kind of do what they say they do. You can try out different ones. Ones that you will find useful, levels is good. Brightness, contrast is good. Vibrance is good. Those are your main ones. And again, try some of the other ones. If you're trying to change certain things, just kind of use your common sense, look at what you think might do that and try it. So I'm going to go with levels for this. This is the one I would start with most times for you guys. So what this does is I change this now. It's going to affect kind of everything I believe below here. So let's do that. So the way that you change it, you go to your adjustments window. Now if you don't see that, just go to window adjustments. So I'm on this adjustment layer, and what I want to do now is just kind of play with these three sliders here to get the picture to kind of look right on my face. Now I'm not concerned about the rest of the body, I just want the face to look right. And again, I'm just kind of going to move these around. So that's pretty good there. Now I spent a lot more time fine-tuning that on the real version of this, but I just want to show you quickly. So again, I'm not concerned about the shirts getting washed out or any of that, because we are just going to isolate this just on the faces in a moment here. There we go. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to use this mask that comes with the adjustment layer to make it so that that's only happening to my face. So basically it needs to be black everywhere except our faces in this case. Now you can do this any number of ways. You guys are familiar with this. I'm just going to fill that entire mask in at the moment with black. And then all I did was I just painted white onto, again, the mask part wherever I needed to. So let's make my brush a little bigger. A little too big, but it'll be fine for showing you what we're trying to do. Wherever I wanted that adjustment to shine through, you can see now it's showing up where I wanted it to. And I took the time to really kind of carefully color my neck and all that, and I zoomed in. So if we look at just this mask, there's that one I made quickly. Here is the final one. So you can see I was like a little more precise with where I applied that mask to on the actual project. So anyway, now I have my project. I added this adjustment layer to kind of fine-tune any parts of it that I need to. And again, you could do more than one adjustment layer. So say one part needs to be lighter, another part darker, or whatever. You can do that with these adjustment layers. So they're super useful. The next thing I did was I cloned out. If you notice, there's some junk on the floor here. I left the rope, but I wanted to get rid of some of that. So what I did is I simply used my clone tool, and let's turn off these so you can see. So here's the original. Here is after I cloned out those objects on the deck. So if you look at the deck, you can see what I got rid of. To show you real quickly what I did for that, let's just zoom in. And if you remember with the clone stamp, you have to be in the right layer. Simply hold Option, click where you want to steal pixels from, and then you just start pasting those pixels in to get rid of what you need. Now if you have straight lines like this, I'm going to steal from that line and paste that same line onto itself. And I just got to be careful that I line this up right. And I would just keep doing that until basically I get rid of anything that I want. So now with this picture that just kind of looks like an original picture, when I'm done, you can see I've cleaned that up. I also created this adjustment layer to kind of fix the face. So we're moving on. Alright, next I want to get rid of the background. All that is a matter of adding a mask. So if you remember, this button here adds a mask. And you can do this any number of ways. Let's turn off that extra layer there. Okay. I can paint black wherever I don't want the picture to show. I can make selections and then fill black wherever I don't want the picture to show. And if I go too far anywhere, so then I have to get rid of my selection. If I go too far, I can always just go back and paint white to bring a portion of my screen back. So basically, when I was done that, I was left with this here. So what I have this adjustment layer. I have a layer with a layer mask on it, and I have a background. So this is one that I just happened to get that I owned, that I had taken, but you could also use a picture from the internet. The bigger your pictures are, the better these things are going to look, both for the background and for your foreground pictures here. So kind of keep that in mind as you're going. Something else you may notice too with my adjustment layers, if you see this little arrow here, what I did was I just right-clicked on here and I created a clipping mask. What that does, that makes it so that this adjustment layer only affects this layer right below it. So if you're doing this and like you did something but it's affecting too many other layers, that's a simple way around that. So now I have my background, my adjustment layers, my picture, cut off the background with a mask, and I also again cloned out anything that I wasn't happy with on there. So that is close to the end. The last thing that I did, if you notice here, if I turn off this adjustment layer, what I did here is I just adjusted, it doesn't look so much like I'm naturally standing in this light right now on the background. That's why I added this adjustment layer. So if we look at that, if we create another adjustment layer, and I did levels for this again. So this is on the background now that I'm doing this. And what I'm going to do here is, it automatically created a clipping mask because I had one above it, but normally you won't see that. I'm just going to take this adjustment layer, and I'm going to let it apply to this whole background here. And what I'm going to do is, again, I would just play with the sliders till I got it to where I thought the picture and I kind of blended nicely together and it looked like one cohesive thing. It's going to take a lot of messing around with these little sliders to get what you want. So again, when I was all done, that is what I was left with. So it's not a big change, but it's enough where to me it looked like a little bit more natural, like I was really standing on that boat that was really in this water. So that's the end of part 1. So good luck.